So after verifying that I did tear my ACL, the search for a surgeon started, and this is where everything kind of fell apart. Went to schedule with him and found out he was booked out for a month just to get the initial consultation. I decided to wait the month, and that would be a huge mistake. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our latest adventures. Today's video is going to be a little different. I'm going to talk about my recent ACL injury and kind of where all that stands. For those of you that have been following along, you'll know that back in February I was skiing at Powder Mountain and ended up with a minor wreck on the mountain and ended up tearing my ACL. And unfortunately that's kind of a season-ending injury, and a lot of time has been passing already. So that incident happened back in February, and it's now April, actually the end of April, and I am just getting ready to have surgery in 2 days. Actually meeting with my doctor for the first time today. So excited about that and finally getting this whole recovery process underway. So the incident itself happened on February 22nd on what should have been an easy run at Powder Mountain, and just had a bad twist of my knee and ended up tearing my ACL, unfortunately. Totally unexpected. It was rough getting down the mountain, but I was able to luckily get down and work my way back up to the medical center, and was taken in by ski patrol and ended up heading to McKay-Dee Hospital to get an initial x-ray, which luckily nothing was broke, but it did show significant swelling on the knee, which was a clear sign that I had torn something. So that pretty much shot down the rest of the ski trip to Powder Mountain, but we tried to make the best of it. We were staying at this really cool bed and breakfast in Eden. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And just kind of hung out there for a while, and ended up a couple days later going out into town and went to this nice little restaurant called Carlos and Harley's, I believe. Put a link to that as well. It was really good, but it was hard moving around. I was walking with a cane, using my ski pole as a cane, and it definitely was not a fun trip, but you know, overall we still had a good time as best we could, and kind of tried to make the best of it. So once we got back home, I scheduled some time to meet with my orthopedic doctor, and he was super helpful. He ended up doing a ultrasound on my knee and could see all the fluid build up in a chamber. So he actually ended up draining the fluid off my knee, which was extremely painful. That hurt a lot when that needle went in. But once the fluid was gone, it felt so much better. And he injected a steroid into my knee that helped with the pain management. But that steroid was only going to last for 2 to 3 weeks, which I assumed would be plenty because, you know, there's tons of hospitals around here in the Salt Lake area and tons of doctors, and I'm sure ACL and other issues similar to that are pretty common, especially with all the outdoor activities. So I figured I'd be able to get into a doctor pretty quick, but that didn't happen. So my doctor also recommended that I get an MRI just to verify that I did tear the ACL, because he couldn't quite see it on the ultrasound. So I went ahead and got an MRI, and this was 11 days post-incident, and kind of waited a couple days to get the results back. And when my doctor got the results back, he said I clearly had an ACL tear at the femur. So surgery was in my near future, at least I thought, near being the key term there. So after verifying that I did tear my ACL, the search for a surgeon started, and this is where everything kind of fell apart. So I did my research, found who I thought would be a good surgeon that was covered by my insurance plan, and contacted the hospital and told them what was going on, told them I already had the MRI and this is what I needed, and they said, oh yeah, sure, that's the right guy, you know, that's who you want to be talking to. So I thought, great. And then I went to schedule with him and found out he was booked out for a month just to get the initial consultation. I thought, well, this guy's, comes highly recommended. He's covered by my insurance. He's the right guy for me. So I decided to wait the month, and that would be a huge mistake. Needing to wait a month for surgery, I needed to be able to walk around, and walking without a brace is just not possible. So I ended up kind of finding an old knee brace that I had laying around that's just a real simple wrap. You can pick them up at CVS and Walmart and other places, and I'll put a link to the description below. And it's been a lifesaver. It kind of just keeps everything in place enough that I can get around. I still wake up sore in the morning and, you know, don't feel great, but it's been able to let me kind of keep moving, which is the important thing. So as the weeks went by and I was waiting for my time to get my surgical consult, the steroid that was injected in my knee eventually wore off, which led to a bunch of pain. So prior to this, I had been kind of doing my own investigation on what ACL surgery looks like and what it meant and what I would need to do to prepare for it, and come to find out that there are a significant amount of prehab exercises that you should be doing to make sure that you have proper movement of your leg and kind of muscle control before you have the surgery, because afterwards there's going to be a significant time period where you can't move your leg, and you need to have your muscles strong and your flexibility in place beforehand to help with the recovery process. So I had been doing those exercises for a couple weeks until the steroid wore off, at which point it became way too painful to do the exercises. I was limping afterwards. So I decided to stop that and just kind of wait until I had the consult. So the big day was here. I was finally on my way to have the surgical consult. I was super excited. Lindsay and I drove up to the Tosh Hospital in Murray, Utah, just south of Salt Lake, and sat around for a little bit, filled out some paperwork, and finally got called into the doctor's office, and the attending nurse started asking me some weird questions. And I thought, why is she asking all these questions? She started asking things like, well, what hurts, and why are you here, and how long has it hurt? And I thought, why would she be asking this? Like, she knows why I'm here. So I said, well, wait a minute, like, I tore my ACL, I sent my MRI results up here and my x-rays like a month ago, why are you asking me all these questions? And she said, oh, well, hold on a second, and left the room. And she came back and said, well, why don't you get these x-rays, and because we need to take a look at it again. And unfortunately, the doctor that you're scheduled with only does total knee replacements. He doesn't do ACL repair. And like, I just got this dumbfounded look on my face, and I said, are you kidding me? Like, I've been waiting a month to see this doctor. And she said, yeah, we had a secretary that was misscheduling patients, and you were one of them, and she was scheduling patients with the wrong doctor. The secretary has since been fired, but there's a number of patients out there that are basically waiting to see the wrong doctors. And at this point, I was pretty much furious. So I had waited a month, been in pain for several weeks after the steroid had worn off, and found out that I had waited for nothing for the wrong doctor. I was super upset. So I talked to her and said, well, what are we going to do? And she said, well, don't worry, we'll get you set up with the right doctor, and he can do a conference call with you tomorrow. So we ended up wasting a trip up to Murray, which is only about a half an hour from my house, not too bad. But it was the whole thing that I'd waited and waited and waited for this doctor, and ended up not even needing to meet with him. So the next day, the correct doctor did finally call me, and he was able to verify the ACL tear and kind of gave me a plan on how he would go about fixing it, which was kind of fell in line with everything that I read. So basically his plan is to use part of my quad tendon and part of a cadaver tendon to rebuild the ACL, because unfortunately ACLs don't repair themselves, they don't heal, and they actually have to be replaced. So they're going to do a graft off of me and a graft off of a cadaver, and mix those two together and run a little medical magic and give me a brand new ACL. And that is going to take forever to heal. I'm looking at like a 6 to 12 month time span for the overall healing process, which I'm not looking forward to. So today is the day that I finally get to meet with my actual surgeon for the first time. It's 61 days after the incident, which is just crazy to me with the amount of hospitals that are around here. But it is what it is, and the time's flown by, sort of, as best as it can. And I'm super excited to finally meet with the surgeon. We drive up to the Tosh Hospital again to meet with him and hopefully find out some more information. I don't even actually have a surgery time scheduled. I have surgery scheduled for 2 days from today, which would be the coming Friday. But the time won't even be scheduled until I meet with the surgeon. But one good thing that's coming out of this is I've had trouble with my knee, and you'll see this in some of my prior videos, where I've had to wear knee braces when I was hiking, and I really hate doing that. It's such a pain. And it's all due to a patella tracking issue where my kneecap doesn't track properly with my knee, and especially coming down the mountainsides, it creates unbearable pain, and I end up not being able to walk right for the next few days. So while I'm having the ACL replaced, they're also going to do a kind of relief maneuver on my patella on my kneecap to hopefully correct that as well, which will be nice. So I'll be able to kind of heal up all in one go, and maybe be able to hike without any knee braces, which would be super sweet, and I would love that. So maybe this is something that was kind of coming no matter what, but it's definitely changed our plans. We've had to cancel several trips, had to adjust kind of our thought on what we're going to be doing this summer, and trying to cope with, damage to my body, which, I'm not a young kid anymore, and I guess it was just a matter of time before it happened, but it's unfortunate. So that's about it for today, but I am planning on kind of you know, covering this whole recovery process, everything from kind of how I went about getting a surgeon, the prehab exercises, which I'll be doing another video specific to the prehab exercises. And I'm not a doctor, so make sure you consult your doctor before you did this. I did, and it was a good thing I did, because he adjusted some of the recommended exercises that I had found. And also just, you know, listen to your body if you do anything like that. If you start to feel pain, stop. It's probably not a good thing. But I'll be kind of detailing out everything from the surgical process, and we'll film as much of that as they'll let us, to the post-surgery rehab and all the different steps that go through. So hopefully this may help somebody else in the future. So we hope you join us for this interesting ride through ACL rehab. And at the same time, Lindsay's still going to be doing some hiking and some skiing. Snowbird's still going to be open for a few months based on the crazy amount of snow that the Salt Lake area got this year. So definitely have some action stuff going on still, and hopefully I'll be back on my bike, at least just riding on the paved trails within the next month. But we'll have plenty of videos coming, so stick with us. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, give us a like, or if you have any comments about, you know, have you gone through an ACL replacement? Do you have any recommendations for things I might be doing, or things that I should do, things to watch out for? Any tips would be appreciated, because I've never really been injured before. I'm super lucky, and this is my first time I'm going through a major rehab, so any help would be appreciated. Anyway, that's it. We'll catch you next time.